Hey Van Heist, welcome back to another week with me, Mr. Lynch. This week we're going to be getting into something called op art. Now, I may have touched on this a little bit last year with some of you. Op art is another way of saying optical art or optical illusion art. When you think of an optical illusion, what does your mind go to? Does it go to a picture like this? Or maybe this? Optical illusions are pictures that make our minds think differently and can sometimes play sort of like a miniature magic trick on us. For this project, we are going to be looking at the works of Bridget Riley, who was an op artist in the 1960s. And some of her artwork really bends our mind into thinking that what we're looking at is actually three-dimensional, when in reality, it is two-dimensional. So we're going to be talking a little bit about Bridget Riley and how her work can make our minds bend. Let's get started. All right, so for this project that's based on the work of Bridget Riley, our op art project, we're going to need something to color with. We're going to need a pencil, black marker or Sharpie, either one works, a ruler or something long and straight, some paper, and since we are using Sharpie, I'm going to use some scratch paper under my paper so I'm not getting any Sharpie marks on the table. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to be using our hand, one of our hands, as a study subject. So I'm actually going to start with my pencil and we are going to trace our hand onto this paper really lightly using a whisper line, holding our pencils nice up and down and moving slowly with a nice soft line. Okay, so we see my hand outline right now. Next up, we're going to use our ruler and we are going to be making lines across our paper horizontally, but in the background, we're not making lines on top of the hand area just yet. So I'm actually going to scoop my ruler down to the bottom of my paper so it is aligned with the bottom. And I'm going to make a line, and again, another light line. And when I hit my hand, I'm going to pick my pencil up, jump over the hand area, and start it again. And I'm going to do this all the way up. I'm going to move my ruler up a little. All right, now we've got our hand with the lines in the background. This is the tricky part. I'm going to go every single spot where a line touches the outline of my hand. I'm going to connect the two lines that should have connected in the beginning, but we're going to connect them with a big kind of lump. So for every two lines that are about to come together, we're going to have our line go up, over, and down, just like that. We're going to do that to all of these. And the trickiest part is where the lines get pretty close to the edge of one of my hands. So I'm just going to have to imagine that the line comes down and then maybe comes back up like this. And then when we get into the fingers, there's going to be a little hump for each finger spot. Not looking too three-dimensional yet, but let's keep going. I'm going to next Sharpie over these lines, but I'm not sharpieing over my hand outline. We're going to leave that in pencil. Okay, so to complete this project and really make it look like this hand is popping out from the paper, we are going to use our black line as the starting point for a pattern. So I want you to choose several different colors. I'm going to try to do, maybe I'll do like a warm color pattern. And just like I was doing with the Sharpie line of getting to the hand and then going over. I'm gonna do that with these colors as well. So I'm actually going to start with this one right here. I want this pattern to be made of really, really thick lines because we're just gonna be doing this one line at a time over and over and over. So I'm going to, instead of making a sharp marker line like this, I'm gonna turn the marker on its side and try to make a nice thick line like this. Let's see how it turns out. All right, so that was my first pass. Now you may have noticed that I didn't complete this line. That's because my pencil line has ended right here. We're actually gonna make it look like this red bit goes behind the tip of the finger that's popping out a little bit. So we are gonna go back to, I'm gonna do a line of red at the bottom too. Now we're gonna go to our next color. I'm gonna do orange, and I'm gonna go red, orange, yellow in that pattern. All right, so I have completed my op art hand image, and you can see that although it is a completely flat piece of paper, we have this feeling that there's almost a ghostly hand rising up out of the paper. And you know what? If yours looks different than mine, that is totally okay. If you want to choose, if you do different colors or you have a slightly different style, that's all right. This is kind of a tricky project, and it might actually take a couple of tries to get it just right. Also, this is something that you can sit down and do in one sitting. It took me maybe about 15 or 20 minutes to color this all in. But if it's taken you a while, take a break, go do something else, and come back to it either later or on another day, because this type of project is really methodical and it takes a lot of concentration. The trickiest areas for me was when I got into the fingers, and some of these lumpy lines kept, they wanted to be really thick in the finger area, and then when I came back down in between the fingers, I tried to thin the lines out a little bit. In other areas, the pattern didn't quite end up the same. You can see I've got two reds next to each other right here, but you know what? That's okay. The main idea here is that we have an interesting looking three-dimensional hand that's popping out of our paper, very much in the style of op art. I hope you had fun with this, Van Heis. I can't wait to see what you create. And it doesn't have to be a hand. You could try tracing something else and do the same sort of technique to it. So let me know what you think, and we'll be seeing the results on Seesaw. Have a great week.